Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 148. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody out there.
All right, so I was just regaling Zachary with the story of someone in my YouTube channel being very, very upset at me in the comments of one of my debut review videos because I thought an anime was just okay. This was 2 years ago too, so I didn't even really remember the anime very well. I had to watch my video again. I was like, was I really mean or something? No, my review was, it's okay. But man, he's like, hurling invective and disrespecting that. I'm like, dude, okay, I guess I just didn't like your favorite anime very much, man. Wow. Anyway, so looking at the chat here. So hello everybody. Welcome to E3 week. I got home this morning from the gym and started working on some E3 videos, a predictions video which I just finished and will be posted later tonight, and a games I'm looking forward to video which I hope to have maybe late tomorrow night. And while I was working on it, I realized that EA's press conference was today. Like,
did they have an actual press conference, or was it just that series of play live or whatever they called it?
Yeah, it was just a EA plays. It was just a
because I actually kind of. I'm like, okay, so they're talking about Star Wars at whatever time it was, 11:30, I think, my time. And then an hour later, they were going to talk about a different game. And then an hour after that, another game.
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
was
just like,
Star Wars, which I was like, I'll check that out. And I did. Apex Legends, which I couldn't care less about. Battlefield 5, which I couldn't care less about. EA Sports FIFA, which... Actually, let me go back there a little bit, because Apex Legends and Battlefield 5, there might be a modicum of interest there, just a little bitty bit. Like, I could possibly care less. Not much, but there's a little bit of room for less caring. But as far as EA Sports FIFA and EA Sports Madden NFL, yeah, that's at the very bottom of no care. And then the Sims 4, which, didn't that come out 15 years ago?
I don't know. Yeah, I looked at their schedule and I'm like, this is a freaking 4 or 5 hour thing. And lucky for me, Star Wars is right at the beginning of it. And so I was just like, okay, that's all I care about. That's the only thing I'm going to watch. I'm not going to watch any of this other stuff because I don't care about it, because Apex Legends is one of those, it's an online only multiplayer game or something like that. There's no single player campaign. Battlefield, I'm just not interested in Battlefield at all. And sports games, yeah, I've got a handful of sports titles on the PS1 and PS2, and if I ever get the itch to play football or something, I'll throw one of those in. I don't.
It's not double dribble, it's crap. No.
Well, it's not Shaq Fu. Oh wait, no, Shaq Fu's not a sports game.
I suppose we should talk about it since we're talking about it. But so Star Wars, Star Wars, Jedi, Fallen Order. Kind of a clumsy title, but there's like no good way to write it. The logo looks okay, but I'm not sure exactly.
The hyphen is kind of dumb.
Well, because
I think it's just Jedi Fallen Order, I think, would have been fine. I don't think they needed the...
Maybe Fallen Jedi Order?
Well, that...
Fallen Order of the Jedi? I don't know.
I think it just, saying Jedi Fallen Order, that rolls off the tongue. Putting Jedi at any other spot in that phrase just doesn't really...
Well, I think like Pokemon Detective Pikachu, it's just supposed to be Jedi Fallen Order, not Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Star Wars is just the branding.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the title is interesting, but it gets across the idea of what it is, because it takes place after Clone Wars, when Darth Sidious, we know him as Emperor Palpatine, executes Order 66, and the Jedi
Missed
start
a
getting
few.
hunted down. But
It's amazing how many Jedi they just completely missed and are just out there tooling around and accomplishing essentially zero because they can't do too much because the later movies.
yeah, and that's one of the interesting things. But yeah, I can understand that they missed Jedi because not all Jedi would have been involved in the war, so they wouldn't have been standing right next to a bunch of brainwashed clone troopers when Order 66 was
Yeah,
given.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this character, Blandy McBoyband, was probably just somewhere else watching TV and
Yeah.
not doing anything
I
particular.
still think their choice to make him a white guy, a white human, or whatever they're called
I just
in the
found
Star
out
Wars
today
universe.
that he's modeled after the actor, which is the guy who plays Joker on Gotham,
That guy?
Dominique
Why?
Monaghan or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
looked at him and went, "Oh, yeah, I can see that."
yeah, but I still think they dropped the ball because there's so many alien races out there, and a ton of them were in the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they could have just used another alien race, and it would have been cool to be like a Twi'lek
Yeah,
Jedi
it's
or
why I've been calling him
something like.
Blandy McBoyband because it's like
Yeah,
the most uninteresting. All due respect to Monahan or whatever his name is, who's modeled after, but I looked at him and went, "Oh god, that's the most uninteresting character design they could have come up with." The
yeah.
whole universe of Star Wars and Blandy McBoyband, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think his little droid thing is the
Oh, that's
most
adorable.
interesting aspect to him.
Oh yeah, I like
And this little droid that he carries on his back like Pikachu, and and it's just it's neat. And I think it's a cool way to to implement a lot of the video gamey features. Like you see in the gameplay footage, he pulls up a map of the area, and it's a
projected
holographic projection from the robot, and that kind of stuff is really cool because it's a clever in-game way of incorporating video game menus and in-game maps and lore guides and all that kind of stuff.
So let me set the stage for this game a little bit. It's been, God, like a decade since the last single player Star Wars game, which I think was Force Unleashed 2. Since then, we've had some music games, some racing games, a lot of massively multiplayer games, infested with loot boxes. There was that going to be that Star Wars Last Order or something that got scrapped. Visceral was working on it. 13,
Yeah,
something like that, yeah.
yeah.
Visceral was working on one, and that got scrapped because so did Visceral. But now Respawn Entertainment was announced within last year that they're working on a single-player Star Wars game, and people are like, "Yeah, Star Wars, yeah, single player." Not so much yeah EA, but yeah, Respawn. They really stepped up their game with Titanfall 2, so I can't wait to see what they're having. So a lot of people were really excited to see what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was all about. And this is where we get to why I titled this podcast Pooping in the Punch Bowl. Because it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, it looks pretty
Bland? Boring?
yeah.
I don't know if it's representative of the whole game. I really, really appreciate the fact that their presentation was, here's like 12 to 15 minutes of gameplay. I really liked it. That's great,
yeah.
but man, that was mostly some really dull, uninteresting gameplay.
Yeah, and you open up a game on Kashyyyk and the Wookiee homeworld, and I don't think we saw a single Wookiee in there, at least not that I noticed.
There was a rebel Wookiee at the very beginning, and there's one in the jail at the very end.
Okay.
And be glad you didn't see too many because the Wookiee models those don't look very good.
Yeah, well, this is alpha gameplay footage. They made sure to
but
slap that across the screen. But still, it's you can't get a Wookiee right. how are you supposed to get
Yeah,
anything
you
else?
know, a lot of the character models are looking a little rough, and some of the animations just don't look great. Especially his the lead character's walk animation. What is going on there? I really like the very beginning where he force pushes a door open, then fires up his lightsaber and holds it up in front of him as a light source.
As a
I was
lantern,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's a cool idea. I like that. And then he started walking forward, and he's got this weird, jerky, lumbering walk. It is so odd. He has the weirdest walk
Well,
cycle.
he was walking along a tree branch at that point, so I think it was just
No,
you
he's
know
got it on flat
trying to
surfaces. That's just his walk
keep
cycle.
his balance or something. But because the rest of the time he's mostly walking around in a crouch,
Yeah.
and which is okay, I guess. I don't know,
Here's
but
okay. So yeah, some of the animation is wonky. Yeah, some of the character models are not looking as sharp as I would expect. Don't care. What I found particularly interesting about the game, not in a particularly kind way, but interesting nonetheless, was how it was paced and presented. So, Blandy McBoyband uh, gets the his mission, looks at the map, force pushes the door, goes through a thing, then looks over to his left, and there's a pitched battle between stormtroopers and rebels way over there. He's not involved in it, but there's a battle over there. I'm like, okay, so it's an open living world, and that makes sense. I'm sure we'll get to our own action later. And he walked up on a couple stormtroopers, like two or three of them, and just knocks them senseless. And then walks into a building and knocks a couple others senseless. And then walks through outside and sees a pitched battle between flamethrower stormtroopers and giant lightning bugs. You don't get to participate in this battle, or maybe the whoever was playing the demo just decided not to. I mean, it looks pretty
yeah,
fun. You know, chasing down giant lightning bugs with flamethrowers looks pretty fun, but you just get to watch the stormtroopers do it. And then you walk down a path, and you see another battle between stormtroopers and giant spiders. And I'm like, do you ever actually interact with anything, or is it mostly watching other cool stuff happen elsewhere? It was really odd, but he does jump down and mix it up with the spiders. And then the very next scene, after fighting two giant spiders, mind you, he finds a dead stormtrooper, and he uses some force echo power to hear his final. You get an audio log, and he finds out that this stormtrooper, who is dead on the ground next to a piece of webbing, was killed by some mysterious creature. And it's like, was it a spider? Was it like one of the spiders we saw literally 20 seconds ago that we just got done fighting two of them? And so before the little quest log, which says this guy was beaten to death by a Gerfarblschnitt, click here to read more. Before he could even get that part out, he immediately gets jumped by a giant spider. Just one of them this time. And I'm like, this was the opportunity. This whole thing is in the wrong damn order. You start with that, and then you pace it so you build up mystery and dread. You don't immediately get jumped by the monster. It's like, oh, what took out this guy? Oh, that thing. Have you guys no sense of tension or pacing? And it's not interesting to get jumped by one giant spider when we just literally 30 seconds ago fought two of these things. And he kills that giant spider, which is presented like this big boss thing, like instantly. It is
well, and if he
weird.
didn't, if he couldn't kill it instantly with his lightsaber, then there's something screwed up there. But you know, and that was something else that you know that I found was nice. Was that for the most part he was one hitting stormtroopers when he hit them with the lightsaber, and which is realistic. And you know, I was expecting a you know, whack 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 whack. Now it's
most of the stormtroopers do have those little lightsaber resistant stun sticks.
Yeah, and that's something that was
little mini versions of them.
Yeah, and that's
some of them have the double pommeled ones, but
yeah, but I found that interesting too because that's more of a the sequel trilogies kind of thing. You never saw those things, those stun sticks and anything until we got to the last or the Force Awakens.
Well, Jedi had been pretty much gone for a long time, so there was no need for them. But back
Yeah,
when Jedi were around, we kept our stun sticks handy.
I guess. Yeah, but but then he got to that boss battle type thing with the guy in the dark armor with the double-ended staff.
Yep, who we had already seen several minutes earlier. But now you fight him with a couple other stormtroopers, so
yeah. But just watching that, and I'm looking at that, it's like, okay, so you see him like slash the guy, and you see the sizzling trail from his lightsaber on the guy's chest or abdomen or something. I'm just like, okay, does this guy have some lightsaber resistant armor on?
Yeah, that's my headcanon. He's not going to, he's just kind of sliding across the front.
Yeah, because in the interview that happened after the thing, they talk about how these guys are specifically trained to hunt down Jedi. So I would assume that they've got lightsaber resistant armor, which is something that is canon to the Star Wars universe. There are materials that lightsabers can't cut. Some natural, some
you'd think they'd get
some manufactured
armor, because I've always kind of wondered what the hell the point of stormtrooper armor was. They can't deflect blaster bolts. They can't deflect lightsabers. They can filter
it's
out
all show.
They can filter out smoke, but not toxins.
Yeah, it's all show. And
what are these damn outfits? Well, the point of them is to put a mask on them, so we're not worried about the good guys killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah.
So
I'm looking at this game and I'm just like, I might give it a try, but it's not something I'm really anticipating.
It just looks really bland and dull, and again, just some really odd pacing and presentation issues. For just like, they need to go back to the drawing board as far as level layout and such. Also, the Prince of Persia. Well, that's older. Tomb Raider, Nathan Drake type of hopping around the environments is a little dull. I mean, imagine if you were playing Prince of Persia and you crawled up and you did one wall run and then there was just a long corridor to walk down. That's kind of the level layout here. It's just really weirdly uninteresting. And I have to think this is the game at its best. Otherwise, they wouldn't be showing it. It's like, oh, let's get one of the weaker levels for our debut. Probably not. This is probably the game. I do like the masking world loading by sidling down a narrow crevice, like Lara Croft constantly does. But I did like the little extra bit of the droid jumping up off his back and walking over a low ceiling. I thought that was a nice animation touch, and like the integrating UI elements into the game world, like the holographic map. I like he's like, give me a health kit, and the droid just spits out a health kit. And he grabs it and just jams it in his arm. I appreciate the speed, but that animation is a little wonky too.
Yeah,
because it's just click. Like, might want to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see more of the force powers. Like, we saw a few things that I found kind of interesting. The wall running. I consider that more of a force power than something natural. We saw him
like, that ain't a force power.
But we also saw him force pull stormtroopers. He force pulls stuff, he pushes stuff, he throws his lightsaber like a boomerang, and
stops blaster bolts in the air.
Yeah,
and stops a blaster bolt, force pulls a guy, and then just walks him over to the blaster bolt. That was a nice one. I like that.
Yeah, and we also saw force speed, like speed running type stuff.
Force stop things.
Yeah.
Link's like, I can do that. I got the stasis rune. I can do that.
Yeah. So we saw a good variety of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see some of the more mind controlling aspects. See if he ever uses, the Jedi suggestion trick. It's like,
Yeah. I
I am
do.
not the Jedi you're looking for.
I did like the touch where he force pulls the vines over to him so he can swing across gaps. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of interesting gameplay elements in there. But yeah, this is hopefully they have a good idea of where they're going with this, because yeah, there's a lot of weak elements in this alpha footage,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah. But yeah, we talked about how Force Addicted to Chaos says Force Unleashed looked better, and we've got a few other
Force
comments
Unleashed,
about. Yeah.
it's a little dumb. It's actually quite dumb. The character is phenomenal. I actually kind of love the sequel because of how dumb it is. Uh, I actually wrote the guide for that game, and I had a lot of fun because I was poking fun at Star Killer. I think the character's name is the entire time. His whole motivation is he's basically lonely and he just wants cuddles with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
still
motivation.
remember. I still remember when my son was 5 years old or so, and I was playing that at my mom's house on the Wii, and we were playing together. I handed him the Wii remote, and I had the nunchuck, so I was moving the guy around, and my son was just swinging the Wii remote around to swing the lightsaber, and that was a fun co-op experience. Something that can't really replicate these days, but it was still.
An underwhelming presentation, I'll say, but hopefully it turns out well.
Yeah, and I mentioned this in the chat here, but a while back, many years ago, before EA purchased the exclusive Star Wars license, we would get multiple Star Wars games each year because multiple companies were making games, and some of them were good, some of them were absolutely terrible. But we got lots and lots of games. But now, since EA bought the exclusive license, we are down to one game every few years, and man, does it suck.
Yeah.
I would love to see what other companies would do with the Star Wars franchise. Give it to Platinum. Let Platinum make a game. Let Rare make a game. Let anybody make another game. I want to see what other people can do with the Star Wars franchise. I'm just kind of hoping that Disney wises up and doesn't renew EA's exclusive license, because they need to. But knowing Disney, they probably don't want to deal with multiple licensing company, or multiple companies licensing the property. They would rather just deal with one company.
Well,
And
deal with a company who doesn't suck at your license.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, EA has proven completely incompetent with the Star Wars license of the last nearly 10 years, whatever it's been. Like,
yeah.
maybe they're locked into an ironclad contract for a long time. I don't know, but and Matthew says apparently even the current EA leadership doesn't want it. It feels like it. It feels like
It does. It feels like they're just throwing out games because they have to. But I don't know.
Well, moving on and keeping to the E3 theme. We unfortunately had a few leaks. Actually, everything from Bandai Namco leaked. All of their announcements leaked. And Katsuhiro Harada on Twitter had a very interesting statement to sum the whole thing up. And let me share that with you now. Where's the share thing? Here's the screen share. There we go. Yeah. That's what he had to say about that. Griffith's YouTube. Poor guy.
Yeah.
I feel you, buddy. That is unfortunate, but that was pretty funny. um,
Yeah, lots of great comments later on, and just in response to that, apparently somebody, I don't, yeah, some guy faked a decode from base 64 image. It says season 3 coming September. Zafina will never be in a Tekken game. Guest character Dominique Toretto. But yeah, that's just kind of a funny, funny little gag, thrown
yeah,
in after this. But,
what Matthew's saying in the chat is it was a website vulnerability that led to the leaks.
yeah,
At least
which
it wasn't Walmart this time.
yeah.
Actually, I haven't seen Walmart leak any games yet this year. They were all over the place last year.
Yeah, I love those kind of leaks, and I wish we would get more of them.
So, all right, moving on. We finally know the pricing scheme for Google Stadia. Hey, how many people watching the Google Stadia event over the internet experienced stutters or interruptions?
Oh shoot! I had so many freaking I had the stream all ready to go. Just on that the stream starts in 30 minutes or whatever, and I was just like, okay, I'll have it sitting over here on my second screen until it's ready to go, and then it starts, and 5 seconds in, it dies. I'm like, what? And then I refreshed the browser and started watching it for 5 seconds, and then it died again. They did that like 5 or 6 times, and it ticked me off. And it's like the first comment I had about the entire thing was, how does Google expect us to believe they can make a streaming game service if they can't even stream a live video from their own YouTube platform without it dying and stuttering? And it ticked me off.
Yeah. So we were wondering if it would be because they made it sound like it was going to be a Netflix thing where you pay a subscription and then you just have access to the games. Nope. You pay a subscription and you pay for the games. There will be some free games, kind of like PlayStation Plus, that kind of thing. You pay I think it's a yearly subscription or whatever it is.
Well, it was
But
$9.99 a month, is what they said, but you could probably buy the year subscription.
yeah. So you pay a subscription, and there will be some free games, but most of the games they don't actually list which ones are free and which ones. But I'm willing to bet that the vast majority of games you're going to have to pay for.
Yeah,
Which
because
means that in 3 or 4 years, you may as well have bought a console. On the other hand, it does have the, as long as you have the internet to run it, which in this country, internet kind of sucks in a lot of places. So
yeah,
but it does have the advantage that games could be significantly better on Stadia because they can essentially build their own console to run it. Your computer is just the monitor, the terminal.
yeah,
However, no one's going to do that. They're going to be exactly this, very close to the versions that are on the PlayStation, on the other consoles, because no one's going to make two completely different SKUs for the most part. That's my prediction anyway.
yeah.
So I'm not feeling this.
Yeah, and pricing wise, like I said, there's the $9.99 a month for the service. There's also a free service, but you have to pay for individual games. You don't get any games.
Free games.
Yeah, you don't get any free games unless you're doing the $9.99 subscription, which makes me wonder. It's like, are there games exclusive to the $9.99 service, or are all games that are on the $9.99 service available to the basic customers, but they still have to pay
Yeah,
for
my
them.
guess
I
is
don't know. We don't.
Yeah, my guess is it's like PlayStation Plus. If you have PlayStation Plus, these 2 games this month are free. If you don't, they're in the PS Store. Go
In the
buy it.
store, yeah. So $9.99 a month. It's $70 for the controller. But you don't
You
have
don't
to
have to
have
use
that
it, so.
controller. You can use your Xbox controller or your PlayStation controller, whatever controller you use to play games on your computer.
God,
You
that's a
can do that.
crap-looking controller.
Yeah. But so $70 for the controller, and you can play this from basically any device with a Google Chrome browser, and that's what I find interesting is
Does the Switch have a
everything.
Google Chrome browser on it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
But yeah, you can play it on your computer. You can play it on your Android phone, maybe your iPhone too, if you install a Chrome browser on it. Um, but also, the Chromecast devices, you can get one of those and play it through your Chromecast on your TV. But yeah, so lots of options to play this stuff. But I'm just kind of thinking, if everything's done through the Chrome browser, I wonder how how good that's actually going to be, because you're rendering it to your browser and then to your computer or tablet or phone or whatever. So, but yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And
Well,
then
one thing I noticed is that they upped their minimum requirements by a tad since the last time, by only like 5 bits per second, megabits per second. Because I think it was like last March or February, whenever it was if you
yeah,
have
when they
Netflix
first announced it,
30 Mbps,
yeah, megabits
30,
per
yeah,
second. Yeah.
and you'll be fine. You'll be able to 4K. This time it's 35.
Yeah, it's
So
35 to get
with a couple more
the
months of development,
4K.
they're getting a little worse. That
Yeah.
tells me that they were overshooting or overestimating it a while ago, and it
Yeah.
makes me wonder if it's going to continue in that direction.
Yeah, because it's 35 megabits per second to get the 4K experience, and then it's like 20 to 25 megabits per second to get the. Um, let me see if this article has that chart. I don't know. Not seeing it on this article, but yeah, you got. But it's 10 megabits per second if you get the or to get the 720p experience, and that's probably going to be what 90% of the US is going to be able to do, is that 10 megabits per second thing, and I don't know how many people are actually going to want to do that, but
Chaos says reports indicate that streaming 4K games will burn through a terabyte in about 65 hours. That's another thing I've been wondering about Google Stadia is a lot of people have bandwidth caps. So
yeah, yep,
it's
you
like
you
I played new Monster Hunter played out. My team and I we played for a few days, and we'll meet again next month because I'm completely out of bandwidth. I got throttled for the rest of the month.
yeah, and that's going to be a big issue, is the the bandwidth caps, because AT&T and Cox, I know, have like 200 gig a month bandwidth caps. Like if you use that much data, they'll throttle you until the end of the billing cycle, and yeah, that really sucks. And so hopefully there's some kind of solution to that. But for now, no, there isn't, because the U.S. has terrible internet coverage. I live where I live. We've got one good ISP, and that's AT&T. If I were 1 mile west of here, or maybe even like half a mile west of here, I'd have two, AT&T and Cox, and frankly, Cox is worse than AT&T, but they're both pretty darn bad. so yeah, I'm not too. I don't understand how successful this is going to be. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you never know. It might become
yeah,
the new hotness, but
maybe.
I'm not
But
feeling it.
Yeah, and the other big thing that they announced in this is that if you want, they have their um, the Founders Edition, which is $130, which is basically the cost of the controller and the Chromecast Ultra. You get one of each, and the controller is a exclusive color, some kind of blue, and then you get first dibs on your account user ID, and then you get 3 months of Stadia Pro plus 3 months to give to a friend. And I'm just like, why didn't they just throw in a full year with that price?
I thought that was kind of weird. Because when I first heard about the Founders thing, my mind was telling me free year, and then I read it again and went, oh, 3 months. Huh.
Yeah, and that to me, I think, is just kind of weird. 3 months, okay, I guess, but just slap on, make it $150 and make it a full year, and I think that would have been a great deal. If I were inclined to do this.
I still think the controller's ugly.
Yeah, the controller is not all that great looking.
I'm sure it's perfectly functional, but it's the blandest, most boring. It is the Blandy McBoy band of controllers.
And they have the thumbstick and D-pad in the wrong positions, but
do they? Maybe.
Yeah, it's the
the PlayStation layout.
Yeah, PlayStation layout
instead of the 360 been doing it wrong for 25 years, or 20 years. Yeah. And it's wrong because I prefer it the other way. So the way they're doing it, it's wrong. That's how that works.
Yeah.
All right. So Google Stadia. Moving on. We had another Nintendo Direct this week. This time,
Pokemon Direct. Sword and Shield.
Kaiju. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
And Matthew was asking me in the chat what I thought, and I barely remember it. Honestly, I just don't care. Really, the only thing that I remember is kaiju Pokemon. So you can make your Pokemon giant size, like Godzilla size, and apparently you can do this like in the stadium, which seems incredibly unsafe. But it's cool.
Well, the stadiums are designed to take it full advantage of these kaiju Pokemon, and that's the whole gimmick of this game, or this region, is these giant sized Pokemon. And I watched this and I'm like, wow, another game has taken influence from Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go has raid battles, and when you go into one of these raid battles, you fight a giant sized version of the Pokemon, and when you beat it, it shrinks down to normal size. And so this is another game. So we had Let's Go, where they got rid of the random battles, and when you encounter a Pokemon, you just throw Pokeballs at it until you catch it, and that's that was directly influenced by Pokemon Go, and now this. But it's kind of interesting. So but it's not just in the gym battles that you encounter these giant Pokemon. You can also encounter them in the wild in actual raids. They call them raids, and you can play these with up to 3 people online. And this is the part that really confuses me, and I really, really need a clarification on this, because I have not been able to get a good clarification on this. In the Direct, they talk about how you can play with up to 3 friends in these raid battles when you link switches together on like a local area network, or you can play with other people online. They don't say you can play with your friends online. They say you can play with other people online. I'm just thinking, okay, is this one going to be a Mario Maker situation where if you want to play with people online, you get randomly paired with people? Or can you actually select, okay, I want my friends, Andrew and Matthew and Addicted to Chaos, and all of us go together and beat up this giant version of the sheep Pokemon. Are we going to be able to do that, or am I just going to have to be randomly paired with people who have terrible Pokemon that aren't optimized to fight the Pokemon that we're rating? Because that to me is just, it drives me nuts when they don't clarify simple information like that. They present it in a confusing way that can mean multiple things, and they don't clarify. Come on, clarify it.
Matthew says, I assume you can play with your friends. Game Freak, unlike Nintendo, has had competent online since the DS.
Hopefully.
I'll take your word for it, because I'm actually glad I don't care about Pokemon at all. The game just does not interest me, because I would buy it anyway, because I don't put up for that. We're going to sell you the same game twice crap. You know,
Yeah.
the Pokemon Sword and Shield. I am utterly opposed to that. In Resident Evil 2, how there's Leon's scenario and Claire's scenario. Imagine if Capcom separated that into two full-priced games: Resident Evil 2 Leon and Resident Evil 2 Claire. That would be horseshit, wouldn't it? We'd all hate that, wouldn't we? Yes, we would. But we're perfectly fine when they do that with Pokemon.
Well, that's how it's been from the beginning. So,
and it always sucked.
Yeah. Well, and what really sucked is when that leaked into Legend of Zelda, when they did Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. And
those I haven't played them, but from what I've heard, those games are genuinely different games.
Well, they are different games, but you can link them together, and it's like you beat one game and you can connect it to the other one, and you get access to content that's not available if you don't link. And but yeah, it's
that one at least isn't as bad. And as Matthew points out, they're not different games. It's the same game minus like 6 to 8 Pokemon. Yeah, basically the story is mostly the same. There's some variations, but it's mostly the same story. Mostly the same set of Pokemon. There are a couple characters exclusive to each version. Again, exactly like the differences between Leon and Claire's quest. It's pretty much the same exact thing, just a few differences. For instance, like Mr. X only shows up in Claire's scenario, at least in the original Resident Evil 2. I don't know what they do in the new one, in the remake anyway. But that's why it should be just, the Claire scenario on the same game. They shouldn't sell it as two separate games, because it's not two separate games. It's the same game. You're forcing players, or well, parents with small children usually, to buy the same game twice for full price just to get access to all the content, which is crap.
And I can understand why they did that in a way, because trading is a big thing in the Pokemon franchise. And even all the way back on the original Game Boy, trading with other people who play Pokemon was something that they were trying to encourage. Where I had Pokemon Red and my friend had Pokemon Blue, we could trade with each other.
Does
and
anybody actually do that though?
I'm sure some kids whose parents were too cheap to buy them both copies of the games and two Game Boys and a link cable were probably doing that.
If anyone trades, they would still trade even with just one version of the game with all the Pokemon in it, because some are going to be more rare than others. And so you go to school and it's like, oh, hey, you have that rare one, I have this rare one. I have two of them. Let's trade.
Yeah.
So.
But back to Sword and Shield. Back to Sword and Shield. They didn't show a lot of new Pokemon. They showed 3 new Pokemon plus the 2 legendaries, and then 1 evolution of one of the Pokemon that they showed. They didn't show any of the evolutions of the starters. We saw a little flower thing that evolves into a puffball. We saw a sheep, and which, just based on what I can tell, it seems like it's going to be the Rattata of these games, where it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be that one Pokemon that's everywhere, and then you have this giant armored Raven, which looks pretty cool, I think. But then you have the two legendary Pokemon. They're two wolves. One of them has this big, like, shield mane type thing. It's like, it looks like a mane in the shape of a shield that goes down. Most of it's down below its neck, which looks incredibly uncomfortable. And then the other one is a wolf with a sword in its mouth. And while the
sword in its mouth, that's like its tongue or something like that.
Well, but the thing is it's like it's holding the handle.
Clothes. Like,
yeah,
yes,
but it's
clearly do.
Yeah, but it's holding the handle in its mouth, and so the blade is out to the side. It's not like straight out.
Yeah, they're ripping up one of the, what is it, in Dark Souls?
Sif in Dark Souls. Yeah, that was one of the things the internet really really latched onto, is its similarity to Sif in Dark Souls. But my big question is this Pokemon born with that sword in its mouth? Or did it just randomly find a sword and think, oh, that's something I want to carry around for the rest of my life?
Well, I mean, it's like a Cubone skull. It's not actually, they say they don't wear clothes, and I guess it's a hat. Sure, it's...
Yeah, well, and Cubone also carries around a little bone club, and it's like, is that a part of its hand, or is it... Or is it just something it picked up? But yeah, they talk about Pokemon don't wear clothes, but even in this trailer, there was like a fighting Pokemon that's in full karate gi.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, and they're saying that's its skin.
They're posing.
Yeah,
totally clothes. It's okay, Pokemon Company. It's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's.
Thank you, but no, we don't live stream all day. just like for an hour a week. But I appreciate the super chat. I think that's called. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, there's lots of
Cubone skull, specifically the mother. Okay.
Yeah, it says it's in the Pokédex. Its Pokédex entry says that it wears the skull of its dead mother.
Okay,
and
relative. I didn't know if it was specifically anyone, but
it's specifically its dead mother. And there's lots of Pokemon theories, fan theories about what that Cubone is actually the child of a dead Kangaskhan, and all that kind of stuff, which is very interesting. But yeah, but even Cubones that are hatched from eggs, like when you put two Pokemon into the daycare together and they have babies, even one of them is hatched with the skull. And some interesting theories about that is that when a Cubone evolves into a Marowak, which is when it can actually breed, the skull actually becomes a part of Marowak, because the skull actually changes shape when it evolves. But yeah, lots of interesting theories within the Pokemon world. But yeah, so with this game, I've outside of Pokemon Go, I've never played a Pokemon game, not even Snap or Pokemon Stadium. So I might play it, if my kids really want it and I have a Switch and I have the money to buy one, I'll buy them one. I think I would go with the sword, because I think the sword wolf looks cooler than the shield wolf, but but that's about the only reason why I would pick that one over the other one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not that interested in Pokemon, but
yeah. And Pokemon Go doesn't appeal to me either, to the point that Dragon Quest is my favorite RPG series, but they just have Dragon Quest Walk, which is Pokemon Go just with Dragon Quest monsters, and I have no interest in it. Granted, that one much, but they showed enough to say we're ripping off Pokemon Go. if they
Yeah,
have
it's
anything else, they haven't really said yet. But
yeah, it pretty much just looks like a genuine ripoff of Pokemon Go. But they did have that one. They
because they
they,
ripped
they
off,
showed like
didn't show much of the game.
yeah, but they showed like 5 seconds or maybe even less of what looked like an actual RPG battle
Hmm.
within
Yeah,
within it, and I'm like, if there's actual RPG mechanics to this, like you can build a party and you use your party to fight the monsters as you capture them,
mhm.
that might make it a little more fun, make it a little more of an actual game.
It
And
could be cool, but they just didn't feel like doing much other than ripping off the original Pokemon Go commercial,
yeah,
which
yeah.
reminds me of Pokemon Go, which I have no interest in playing, so that doesn't really interest me to play a lot.
Yeah, but Matthew says, going back to Pokemon Sword and Shield, he says something tells me they're sticking to the old school Pokemon, aka one save per cart. Um, Based on Let's Go, it's probably going to be one save per profile on your Switch. And yeah, so per Nintendo account. So one save for the main account, one save for each child account you create or whatever. But yeah, if they lock it down to one save per system, that's going to be incredibly stupid, and I would refuse to buy it. But
Yeah,
if it's one save per account on the Switch, then that's
because
fine.
their theory is like, yeah, one save, just spend another $60 on the other version of the game.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, $60. They had to give you both copies. In fact, there is a bundle of the two. They didn't price it, but
yeah. They didn't price it, but it's
although they
probably
said
going to
it was
be
available for pre-order, maybe let's see what Amazon's charging for it.
yeah. If it's not $100, which is $20 off of buying the two games separate, then they're way overpricing it.
Yeah,
But
uh, Amazon has it for 120, so they're expecting it to
okay, then they're
two
expecting.
games together.
Then why bundle them together if they're going to charge the same price as them individually?
In
That
case you
doesn't
have
make
more than
sense
one
to me.
gamer in the house and you need a second save file. What game was it like in the last year or so that actually charged like we're charging like DLC for an extra save file?
I don't
Does
remember,
that
but
ring a bell? Oh,
it rings a
it
bell, but I
was.
don't remember what game it was. Um,
Chat, help us out here. We're old and we can't remember everything.
yeah. Oh, Metal Gear Survives extra character save slots
Oh,
cost
Metal Gear
$10.
Survive. The game, yeah.
uh,
The only problem that game had. Scotty and Chaos both had it. Well done.
yeah, good job.
So,
Yeah, I went to Google and I typed in game that charged for second save slot, and that was the first thing that came up was Metal Gear Survive. But yeah,
that's
but
Konami going like, why would anyone else want to play this?
uh,
All
yeah,
right.
I'm generally curious about genuinely curious about these things, Pokemon, just because my kids are into it, and I like to show an interest in what they like, and they like Pokemon, so yeah, I'm going to know stuff about it,
But what
and
if
I do have red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, and crystal installed on my NES Classic, so the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color Pokemon games.
dude,
But
we got
yeah,
there are
I
enough
haven't
Pokemon
played them
colors
yet.
to make like Pokemon Pride.
Yeah, probably.
There's red, blue,
Um,
yellow.
you got
There's no
green.
purple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no purple.
there's leaf green.
Yeah, there's
Um,
leaf green. Um,
Orange? Eh.
I don't know.
Eh.
Yeah, well, after the once they got to the Game Boy Advance, they stopped with the colors and they started going to more abstract
Yeah, like Ruby. Well,
concepts.
Ruby's kind of red, but the Soul,
Oh,
Star Soul, or is something. I don't know.
yeah,
X and
Soul.
Y.
Yeah, X and Y.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white.
Yeah. Okay.
But All
Wasn't
right.
that great a joke in the first place? Okay, last topic. I've not seen Dark Phoenix, but we both did see the new Godzilla King of the Monsters movie. So,
Yeah.
briefly, how's Dark Phoenix?
Boring.
Okay, so it's exactly what we're expecting. All right.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be a masterpiece, but man, did it drag on for like the first 3/4 of the film. And then it's like the last quarter of the film, they had this really cool set piece with lots of action. And then the last 20 minutes was just super boring. And yeah, I'm just like, it I think it's slightly better than
Apocalypse.
X-Men 3,
Oh,
the
Last
the
Stand.
the Last Stand, the other Dark Phoenix
Mhm.
movie. It's slightly better than that, I think. Yeah, I'm sure there's people out there that'll fight me on that, but there was just I had no investment in any of these characters because outside of Professor X, Magneto, and Beast and Mystique, it's like all the rest of these characters have only. This is their second movie. Well, I guess this is the third movie with Quicksilver in it. I don't even know. I don't even remember if Nightcrawler was in any film before this one, but Nightcrawler was one of the main X-Men in this one.
Last one I saw was First Class. Days of
Yeah, and
Past looked dumb, so I didn't go to see it. Apocalypse looks worse, so I didn't go to see it.
Apocalypse was terrible. It's Apocalypse is bar none the worst of these the First Class movies.
I liked Logan and both Deadpools, though.
Yeah, Logan was really good. I liked Logan. I if they could have pulled off more films like that one, that would have been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't rush to go and see this one.
I'm not.
If you can catch it on a cheap matinee or at a dollar theater, go right ahead. But yeah, don't rush out for it because it just sucks.
All right, well,
Addicted to Chaos says can't wait for Marvel Studios' version of X-Men. I hope that Marvel doesn't rush into X-Men. I hope they give it at least 5 years before they make a new one. I would rather see them I would rather see Marvel do a Fantastic Four movie first, because after all the Avengers movies and Guardians of the Galaxy, I think Marvel could pull off a really good Fantastic Four movie. So I hope that that's the direction they take with this.
You think
Fox
they go period with it, like set it in the '60s?
That would be cool, but I would suspect they would keep it within
Because
canon.
that's just the classic aesthetic for that.
Yeah, but I think they would probably keep it to the current continuity and just go, just do it afterwards. This is a new Reed Richards who, after the snap is playing with forces outside of his, outside,
So the snap,
Yeah.
and the time shenanigans yanked the Fantastic Four out of some timeline of the '60s and dumps them in.
Maybe something like that.
So now we have fish out of water with Reed Richards and everyone trying to figure out modern technology.
Well, now that you bring that up, have it.
Carpeting? How can you live like this?
But you bring that up, and I'm just now that I'm thinking about it, they could do a '60s period piece and have the film be them exploring the microverse, and because I think that's something that they've done.
With Doom.
Yeah, don't start with Doom. Yeah, I think building up Doom as the next Avengers villain would probably be a really cool thing. But yeah, don't start with Doom. That has been the major flaw of both attempts at the Fantastic Four.
That's like starting
by Fox.
with Galactus. I think probably, I've been thinking, what are they going to do for the next, end of Phase 4 big Avengers movie? My guess would probably be, I forget his name, but he's the guy, the time traveler dude from the future.
Kang the Conqueror, yeah.
Kang the Conqueror, thank you, yes, him.
Yeah, Kang would be a good one because of all the time travel shenanigans in Endgame. they broke the time barrier,
Like
so now
he's in
that
the
got
future
his
trying
attention.
desperately to fix everything.
Yeah, but that got his attention, and he's like, the only way to protect my time is to go back and destroy the Avengers, because you guys are screwing up time.
That
But
could be
yeah,
a really
that
interesting villain. Someone who's just trying to save their own timeline by destroying yours.
yeah,
And that could be
yeah,
teased out over multiple movies like
yeah.
this was. Yeah,
But
it's impossible.
yeah, but my thoughts are either Kang, Doctor Doom, or Annihilus. I think either of those three would be interesting. Because with Spider-Man: Far From Home, we know this from the trailers, so no spoilers here. But apparently, the snapping created breaches in the multiverse, so that would be an opening for Annihilus to come through. So yeah,
Or Mysterio's full of shit.
or Mysterio's full of crap. Yes.
All right.
All right, but back to Godzilla. Oh man, some really good monster action this time. I only noticed like once or twice where they cut to a screen to watch the monster action, but for the most part, it was full scale monsters beating the crap out of each other, which was nice. I liked it. They had some really solid fights going between. They did Mothra versus Rodan, and then Godzilla versus Ghidorah, and a little bit of Mothra versus Ghidorah. But I guess Godzilla beat up Rodan a little bit too.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see any of the other monsters fight Godzilla, which I was kind of disappointed, because they actually had some really interesting looking monsters in there.
It'd be interesting to see what they're gonna do in the Kong versus Godzilla movie. If all the other monsters are just gonna stand around like Agent Smith and watch the two leads go at it. I got to be honest. I did not like Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I was very surprised. And it's been depressing me because a lot of people are very gung ho about this movie, and it's everything I ever wanted in a Godzilla movie. I'm like, really? I didn't like it at all. I was actively annoyed throughout pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it was it was a huge step up from the other Godzilla movie. I don't even know what that one's called other than Godzilla.
The 2014 one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge step up from that one, because with that one they focus like 90% of the film on the humans, and it's like every time we started watching a monster fight between Godzilla and the Mutos, they would cut to a news broadcast or something stupid, and we would watch. We were at the theater and we would watch the fight on a freaking TV that's less than a quarter the size of the screen in SD resolution. I'm just like,
well, the difference was in the 2014, something cool would start to happen, and then they'd cut to another scene where you'd see it like in the background or on a TV, and then they'd go somewhere else. Like the movie just went somewhere else. In this new one, it stays where the monster fight is, but it keeps cutting away from the fight to focus on stuff that I don't care about.
Yeah, like in the big Godzilla versus Ghidorah fight at the end, they kept cutting to the humans trying to run away from the monsters, or and it wasn't like a citywide evacuation type running away. It was 3 people trying to get out of there, and that kind of stuff is really annoying. Like the actual. Some of the other stuff, like some of the other aspects where the humans are releasing the monsters, or the humans are trying to save Godzilla or wake him up so that he could fight Ghidorah. That kind of stuff I thought worked for the film. It helped advance the plot, got us to the monsters. But yeah, there were a lot of times where it's like, okay, monsters are causing havoc, and we're watching a mom cry over her kid or something.
I just did not need the eco-terrorism aspect. You just don't need it. It's completely unnecessary. There's giant monsters. Giant monsters wake up. What do we do? Okay, that's the movie. I don't need stupid, terrible people making stupid, terrible decisions. We have enough of those in real life. Um,
Yeah.
the thing about the editing that got me is, in the trailer, there's that great shot. You have Godzilla on one side and Ghidorah on the other, and they charge at each other. And because it's a trailer, they come at each other, and it cuts right there to another scene from the movie because it's a trailer. You don't want to give away all the good stuff. What shocked me was that's exactly where it cuts in the movie. You have Godzilla, you have Ghidorah, and they charge at each other, and the camera pans down to their feet where the people are running around. It's like,
Well, and it was like that in Bumblebee as well. Like you watch at the the finale of Bumblebee, and you have Bumblebee fighting the the blue villain guy, the one that does the turns into the helicopter. You see them two. The two of them are attacking each other, fighting and doing really cool stuff. A really cool action set piece. But it cuts to the girl, and she's trying to avoid them fighting so that she can get to the tower to turn off the Decepticon signal.
two things,
And
one, I care about the human characters in that movie because they're cool and fun and integral to the story. Two, the Autobot and Decepticons are huge, but not so huge that you can't keep everything in the same frame. So you have Haley, whatever her name is, running towards the camera, trying to not get squished with the two robots fighting behind her, but they're both on screen. You can both see what they're doing. You're not just seeing their toes.
Yeah, and in Godzilla, you're seeing their feet, and I completely agree there.
If I cared more about the people and characters in the movie, it probably would not be as much of a problem. But there were some Bradley Whitford, I think his name is. He's amusing. That was about it. I couldn't stand the mom, couldn't stand the kid, couldn't stand the dad. I love Ken Watanabe, but God, that is such a shallow, nothing character. He's just the let them fight guy, in case anyone's wondering. He's just, we must let Godzilla fight. And it's like, why? Where does this even come from? This blind faith in Godzilla. He's an idiot. And he's just a shallow, boring character who does nothing but, we must do Godzilla. We must release Godzilla and live in harmony with Godzilla. Godzilla is king, and we must let them fight. And I know all this because I just believe this because I do. And the story says I'm right. Bradley Whitford's character was at least kind of amusing most of the time, and the actors are giving it them all. I mean, when one character goes on what everyone assumes is going to be a suicide mission, Bradley Whitford and another character they play it to the point where I was getting misty-eyed, even though I didn't give a damn about the character. But they felt it, so that was. It's not a bad movie. I don't want to come across.
No, it's generally a good film, and it's like I said, it's way better than Godzilla. It's way better than Kong Skull Island. Kong Skull Island was just bad. I didn't like it. But hopefully when they revisit Skull Island with Godzilla versus King Kong, they actually do something interesting with King Kong, but I'm not holding out hope.
Here's the interesting thing about the Godzilla movies, and of which there's like 30 some of them. I have not seen them all. I've seen a few.
I've seen the original Godzilla, and
I've seen
that's about it. I've seen bits and pieces of other Godzilla movies, but I've never taken the time to actually watch a bunch of them.
So I've seen the original Godzilla, which I think is very good. I've seen a good chunk of the other Godzilla movies. I've seen, I don't know how many there are. I know I've seen one Rodan movie. I've seen one Mothra movie, which is weird. I've seen 2 of the Gamera movies. Here's the thing. They're all bad movies. Just outright, objectively bad movies. They're bad movies. They're not. It's not. They're fun to watch, but they're bad movies. But so why does anyone like them? Well, here's something that the old bad Godzilla movies do well that I think the 2014 and this new one do not do well. It's that when it comes time for monsters to stomp cities or monsters to punch each other in their monstery faces, the camera focuses on the monsters. Occasionally it'll cut away to the people, oh no, Godzilla, run! But it doesn't cut like in the middle of a punch. You know,
Yeah.
when it's monster time, it's monster time, and we focus on the monsters because the monsters are fun. They're the draw. Yeah, granted, they're only in like 12 minutes of the movie. The rest of it's people standing around
Yeah.
a boardroom pointing at charts and stuff, and it's boring.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they
and
know enough to focus on the monsters and not the other crap that we don't care about. Now,
yeah.
another thing I want to say is, have you seen The Martian, the Matt Damon gets stuck on Mars movie?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
Martian. Yeah.
What I really like about that movie is there's no bad guy other than Mars
In general.
generally.
Yeah.
You know, there's no
Nobody's trying to
love,
stop him from
right.
escaping.
There's no spurned lover or rival corporation or government muckety muck getting in the way of trying to rescue Matt Damon. Matt Damon gets stuck on Mars, and everyone's like, "We like Matt Damon. We're gonna go get him," and they work to go get him.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do with a Godzilla movie. Monsters. Okay, now what we don't need bad guy peoples in the monster movie. It's superfluous and unnecessary and usually terrible because the mom character is Killmonger in Black Panther is a great villain, I think, because
Yeah.
his point of view is correct, his observation is correct, his critique is correct. His course of action is not.
Yeah.
That's what makes him such an interesting villain is you can see, it's not what he believes, it's how he's going about achieving it. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like the ends justifies the means, and even if we agree with the ends, we can disagree
with
the
means.
means,
Right.
and that's what makes Killmonger a very interesting character.
The problem
Because
with the villain
we
in
can agree with that.
Yeah, the problem with the villain in Godzilla is it's not that she has the wrong means, it's that she's completely wrong and obviously wrong about absolutely everything. To the
Yeah,
point
and
where you're like, what is wrong with you? And what's wrong with your kid? I mean, I know she's been kind of lying to her kid, but I mean, come on, your kid's like 17, 16, 17, somewhere around there.
14, 15, something
Really?
like that. Yeah, she's still pretty young.
Is she?
Even as as an actress, she's still really young, and her character was early teens, I think.
Oh, well,
So
okay, I'll cut them a little slack there. But now, granted, the kid does figure it out pretty quick when mom does go full supervillain. It's like, and I do like Charles Dance. He's like, what? And he's talking to Millie Bobby Brown. Is that her name?
yeah, Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah.
He's like, what did you think was going to happen? That we were going to just live in peace and harmony with the monsters? No, they're going to stomp our asses flat. And she's like, look, everywhere a monster's been, nature reclaims the desolate, broken city. It's like, yeah, yeah, all the people are dead. That's what happens when there's no people. And she's like,
Yeah.
if we don't do something, we're going to destroy the planet. No, we're going to destroy ourselves. The planet's going to be fine. As you
Yeah.
have clearly demonstrated, when we're gone, nature reclaims with the help of
Yeah.
monster radiation. She's
Yeah.
just so completely wrong about everything, and it's just I was just completely annoyed by all the humans in the movie throughout the entire film, and
Yeah, and the villains and the villains in general, and I'm sorry guys, we didn't throw a spoiler warning or anything into this thing, but
oh, yeah,
but
I did try to walk around one character death, so
yeah, but yeah, the villains are pretty generic villains and not even that good, and their main goal is the genocide of humanity, for the sake of fixing the planet, fixing the climate, all that stuff, and that's kind of annoying. It's kind of, they're very shallow villains. Don't care about any of them, not even the one character, the mom. We don't even really care about her because it's like, where did she come from? You
Yeah.
know, it's like she wasn't a character in the previous film, as far as I know. Um, but yeah, it's just, we
There is
don't care
one
about these people.
there is one thing, and this is just a slight nitpick. It's not a huge problem with the movie, but it is something I noticed. Is one character gets munched by Ghidorah, which comes out of nowhere, and I was like, did did Ghidorah just munch that character? I think he did.
Yeah.
Why the hell did he do that? It's the only time any of the monsters in the entire movie bother munching someone, but Ghidorah's just like, that one looks interesting. You just chomp. It's like, and that's why I think that's why I was just like, did my eyes just see someone get munched? Because why? And I think the filmmakers realized that everyone was going to have that reaction because in the next scene, dad dude is sitting at a monitor looking forlornly at the person who just got munched. It says deceased. I'm like, I guess that character did get munched. So much for that character. Boy,
Yeah.
that character didn't do anything in the movie like at all.
Yeah, and and this isn't like in the Rampage video game, you eat humans and you restore a little bit of your health, and that's something that, or an even and Primal Rage, you do the same thing. You can do the same thing. You can pick up all the little people that are
So
wandering around your feet and eat them. And but yeah, it's like, but we never really see that in any of the Godzilla movies. We don't see the monsters eating people. I think the only movie that I can think of that actually happens is um, the Godzilla from the 90s, the one that takes place in New York.
mhm.
That one, you see Godzilla eat a lot of people in that one, but that was just a dumb movie in general. But
Does he?
I
I don't
think
remember him
so.
eating anybody. He munches a like
He
a
eats like
uh,
helicopters and
he
stuff, I
punches
know
a
for sure.
helicopter. I don't think he was trying
Uh,
to eat the fleshy people. And so it's kind of like Rodan has a really nice spot in this movie where he like a hawk going after a bunny or something, just grabs a jet fighter plane and then bites its nose cone off, which is that was a nice. There's some
yeah.
really good stuff in this movie.
Yeah,
There's
some definitely some good monster action and a lot of fun to watch. If you like giant monster movies, I
it
think you couldn't.
for me it was a movie that had some fun moments, but
Yeah,
oh, I was just kind of aggressively annoyed throughout most of the movie, and I was really not prepared for that reaction. I mean, even the 2014 Godzilla movie, which I walked out of going, eh. I wasn't annoyed, but I wasn't, just outwardly. And this one, I was just done with all of these people.
yeah,
Um, but oh well.
yeah,
So that's two movies this year that a lot of people seem to be really gung ho about that I just did not take to. And again, I don't think are bad. I just not feeling it.
yeah,
So Godzilla King of Monsters is one, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the other. A movie I don't think is bad at all. I thought it was okay, but I don't love it. Just absolutely enthralled by it, like a lot of others, and I want to be. I like liking things.
yeah.
I want to be that excited, that enamored of something. But those two movies, at least, I just walked out of and was just like, Spider Man. I was like, it's all right, and Godzilla, I was like, arg. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still gonna go see Kong versus Godzilla or whatever the official title is. I'm still gonna go see that, and I
Oh
hope it's
yeah.
great. But yeah, this movie just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I just wonder how they're going to work on the scale with Kong and Godzilla because
I
you
imagine
know
they'll
we,
scale them up.
yeah, well, it's just and they scaled them up for the original Godzilla versus King Kong, and
And in Kong
But
Skull Island, they mentioned that he's an adolescent and still growing. So
maybe, yeah. I just always assume that he's just one of those kind of monsters that just scales himself to whatever he needs to be at the time, and he can shrink back down if he wants and grow big again. And
they're radioactive monsters.
yeah,
The size continuity is not something that really matters that much to me. I mean, I can be nitpicky, and usually when I nitpick, I'm just poking fun at the
yeah,
movie. It doesn't really hamper my enjoyment. If you
yeah,
want to make Kong 250 feet tall, so he's in the same league as Godzilla, which is like 350 feet tall or some obnoxious thing now, it's fine.
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. But speaking of nitpicks, and this is going back to Dark Phoenix, and this really bugged the crap out of me in it. But and it just popped in my head, and so I gotta air this. But in the film, at the start of the film, the X-Men are heroes. They're loved by everybody, and Professor X has a direct line to the president, like one of those red phone type
Phone.
situations, and but it's like halfway through the movie, Jean Grey goes on one little rampage, flips like 3 cop cars. I don't even think she kills anybody other than mutants. But that one little rampage resulted in the United States opening up mutant internment camps that night. And
Wow.
I'm just like,
Something tells
that's
me
a
they
bit of an overreaction. Yeah, but that's something that just really, really bugged the crap out of me in that film, and I'm just like, man, that's one heck of a heel turn there. All right, but I think we've rambled on about movies for quite a while, but
Yeah, I think that is where we will call it for the evening. So hopefully we haven't put you all off for not liking stuff as much as perhaps you might. Because I know there are some people out there who get genuinely upset. Not that if you don't like something that they like, but if you don't like something as much as they like it. Man, I wish life was so wonderful that that was like the worst possible thing that could happen.
well,
Uh,
and there's also people out there that get mad at you when you do like what they like because you're not the type of person they think should like this kind of stuff.
oh, you're one of those fake fans.
Yeah.
You gotta prove you're a real fan.
Yeah.
Who is the line director for this particular? I don't know. Well, then you're not a real fan. It's like I guess I could Wikipedia or IMDb it or whatever. Hmm. All right. So, hey everyone, thanks for watching, and thanks to
Yeah.
Have 200 for the $2 super chat. I
Yeah.
look forward to cashing that in a year and a half when I get my next Google AdSense payment. The way Google AdSense works is they only pay out every quarter, and
If you've made
if
at
you
least
have a
$100.
balance of $100 or more.
Yeah. Which I have had a Google AdSense account for well over 10 years and I still haven't gotten a payment yet because I
Ooh.
haven't hit that $100 threshold. So
But close, right?
I haven't checked in a couple of years. So
Yeah.
last time I looked, it was still under $50. So I and so I'm not expecting to be anywhere near $100.
Yeah, right. I had someone contact me on Twitter who had to drop off of my Patreon, and they seemed really bummed about it. They're like, I'm sorry I have to do this, but life. I'm like, dude, no, Uh, you know, I get it. It's why a lot of us have Patreon, you know. So, hey,
Yeah.
thanks for everyone's support, and really, as long as I'm producing content that you enjoy consuming, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Life is such that I don't have the time these days to produce as much as I'd like, but I'll still make what I can and hope you enjoy it. So that's it for us. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You'll find my videos. I'll have a E3 predictions video later tonight and a 5 games I'm looking forward to learning more about. Probably Sunday night, maybe Monday morning. And follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming and politics and stuff. And you can follow my game development work at DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com. And just one final note. Recently, Sega announced the last set of titles for the Genesis Classic, and I am super excited about this system. I'm going to get one. And the PlayStation Classic is $10 over what I'm willing to pay for it. It's $30 on Amazon and Walmart online. And it's like, if it were $20, I'd definitely get one. But yeah. but the Genesis Classic for $80, the games you get, it's well worth it, I think. I don't think there's a bad game on there. You know, some games I probably won't play, but there's a solid enough list of games that I will play that I think it's worth it.
So. Yeah, and they lied about the number. They put 2 more on there.
Yeah, they gave us 2 games. One of them is a super rare Tetris game that if you can actually get a hold of a cartridge, it's like a couple $100 to get the cartridge. And the other one is a game that was never actually made for the Genesis. They're actually porting the arcade one over to it. So super cool. Yeah.
All right. That's it for us this week. Happy E3, everyone. We'll be back next week to talk about all the E3 goodness. Maybe not EA so much because I don't know if I can force myself to watch any.
I can't. I'm not. I watch the Jedi stuff, and I'm done. I'm done with EA. If they did a proper press conference, I probably would have watched it and then skipped over the sports stuff. But yeah, I'm not watching the full 5 hours of it.
I don't think I could do a half-hour deep dive into FIFA.
I don't blame you.
Oh, all right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Happy E3, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.